we come to a turning point in the life and ministry of Jesus. He spent a lot of time gathering his disciples, followers together. He's preached the kingdom of God, fed the hungry, healed the sick, raised the dead. There's many things that he has done. Traveled from one place to another so people can hear and understand and learn and know these things. He's traveled the country with his followers, with his disciples. They've ended up in the northern part of the country. But of course, he's notable now. And people are going to wonder who and what this itinerant preacher is that's doing all of these wonderful and interesting and sometimes dangerous things. Well, the question is raised, who do people say that I am? That's what the crowds are going to be wondering. And the disciples say, well, he says, people say you are this or you are that or another. He says, who do you say I am? And Peter says, you are the Messiah, the Son of God. And then there's that conversation between Jesus and Peter, because Jesus starts to say, shouldn't tell that. But, starts to speak of his passion. And Peter says, no, wait a minute, let's not talk about that. And Jesus has to call him to account. But very shortly after that, Jesus takes Peter and James and John to go up onto the mountain to pray. Now, that's not unusual. They've done this before. To take some time out to pray, to be alone, and they go up the mountain to pray. Regular sort of thing. Well, in this case, things change. And Jesus manifests the glory of God. His whole countenance changes. His clothes are so different as they were before. All of a sudden, there's this glory, which is a manifestation of the presence of the glory of God. That's happened before. Moses goes up the mountain and has conversation with God, and he comes down, and people can see the change in Moses. He has to hide that bit. It just starts to fade. But those things occur. Clouds and voices. Manifestations of the glory of God. And it's happening on top of the mountain. And then there's the appearance of these two figures in conversation with Jesus. Moses and Elijah. They're ones that are identified. And Peter recognizes this. He said, we need to hold on to this. We'll get some tents, or we'll figure some way so that we can continue this. That then the cloud comes and things disappear. That just the voice saying, this is my son, my chosen one. Listen to him. You see nothing going downhill. But you see, the conversation has been taking place between Jesus and Moses and Elijah of his departure in Jerusalem, his exodus, his leaving, his what? How are we going to deal with this departure business? Something important, crucial is going to be happening in Jerusalem. And things now begin to change. Here's that transition point. Because they're going to come down the hill and make their way to Jerusalem. It's going to take some time. There are going to be times when they go off the road to some other place, events and take place. But now, bit by bit, they're going to make that trip to Jerusalem. And it's going to be dangerous. Things are going to occur week by week. You'll hear this in the sermons, at least the first two, and I would suspect 3, 4, and 5, that particularly in gospel accounts, things are going to go badly on that trip to Jerusalem, where this departure is going to take place. It's not all going to be fun and games. The disciples are not really going to understand what's going on here, though they'll be involved in the conversations and the events which take place, and the things that others have to say and what Jesus has to say in response. You're going to have to stay tuned for part 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 on that trip to Jerusalem, where things will take place, bring everything to its conclusion. Its departure, if you will, however that may manifest itself. Jesus now knows this has to take place, because he's had conversation, and he knows this is going to have to be. It's no longer just wandering about and doing the preaching and teaching and all the rest, from one town to another. The schedule is set, and he has to move. We prayed in the collect of the day that we have that experience of the glory, and we have to carry the cross. We'll have to carry our own crosses in order to be participants, eventually, in Jerusalem, if you will, of the real glory. It's going to be a dark path, a dangerous one, perhaps, to make that trip. We're going to have to go with Jesus, knowing that there are those dangers. But how can I deal with the dangers of my own soul, my own life, making that trip to Jerusalem? That's really what the Transfiguration, this particular event, the Sunday before, last Wednesday, so that we will start to make that preparation ourselves, to take a close look at the soul. What is my soul like? What is my life like that would make it possible for me to make perhaps a dangerous trip, but one which will find its success and glory? Or I'm not going to find myself deciding to go off in another direction and not be able to arrive at the end. You've heard this, I think, perhaps before, that Terry Pratchett, a science fiction writer, wrote in his novels. And one of the things he said in one of his novels, Lent, that's when Christians sweat the fat off their souls. That means some exercise. That means some discipline. It means taking a careful look and seeing, what is my life? What is my soul like? What is my relationship with God? What are the things which are impinging upon that, making it not what it ought to be? And so, during the Lenten season, we're called upon to fast, to pray, to study, to give some thought and prayer to that, to take a look at what is my soul like? Does it need to have some dents pounded back out? Which means, of course, perhaps it's not going to be all that comfortable, but it will be profitable. Peter and James and John experienced there momentarily the glory of God in Jesus. And it makes it possible for them to make that trip with Jesus. We can experience that glory knowing that we can walk with Him through a dangerous path, maybe an uncomfortable one. But when we do get to Jerusalem, we will go through with all of the events. Then we will discover and participate in the fullness, the glory